to A1R Psychic Radio. You're here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. I hope you're having an absolutely fabulous week wherever you are in this world of ours. It's a beautiful autumn day here as the mornings are getting crisper and sort of, I suppose, people don't really want to get out of bed as the weather starts to turn cold. But anyway, it's a perfect time of the world to live in paradise. This week I want to open the show with a sort of a little sort of, I don't know how to put it, a tribute maybe to Doris Day, but I was really saddened when I awoke yesterday morning to find out that the beautiful Doris Day had passed. I mean, at 97 is an amazing innings, but when you look back on the life of that amazing, incredible woman, she made everything special. You know, she was beautiful, she was elegant, she could sing like an angel. There was nothing that woman didn't do that you could frown upon. And even when she decided to retire out of the limelight, she still went on to sort of work with animals and things like that. It's probably a much sadder place in the world now that we've lost a world icon like Doris Day, who brought so much joy to so many people. And I think the epitome of just being what I believe spiritual should be. She always had a smile on her face. She never said a cross word or a bad word against anybody. And she was just happy to be who she was. So now she's gone to fly with the angels, and the world will be a sadder place for not having Doris here, but her legacy will live on in her amazing films, her beautiful voice. And I think the song that she was most famous for, Que Sera, Sera, probably sums it up, that, you know, whatever will be, will be. And the future is not ours to see in many cases. And she made that song very, very famous. And I think it's something that's a song that'll always stick with me. Anyway, let's get on with the show. This week we're working with the Simply Tarot card of the week, and I'm pleased to say that we have the Ace of Cups. Now, the Ace of Cups is the security offer of a helping hand, and it's much nicer to have a positive card this week. Last week we had the one of frustration, we had the Ace of Wands, and I don't know about you guys, but gee, I felt it was a frustrating week in more ways than one. So I was pleased to see this one come out this morning, where we can all sort of breathe easier and have a little bit more of a relaxing week, I think, ahead of us with the offer of a helping hand. So don't be surprised where the offer of the helping hand might come from. It could come from many different directions. So it's a time now, because we are heading into a very difficult time of the month, in as much as it's the full moon this month, and it's coming up on the 19th of May, or May 19, wherever you are in the world. So it's when I say it's a difficult time of the month, it's because it's the most powerful, intense full moons that we have all year. No, the moon is not back in its own sign of Cancer, but it's in the sign of Scorpio. And this is a time when things are very, very intense. Emotions are going to come to the forefront. It's either going to be black or white. There's not going to be many shades of grey in between, if any at all. It's going to be a time where tempers are frayed, people's nerves are all raw, people are snappy, snarly, wanting to get, in a sense, wanting attention, but at the same time, don't talk to me. You know, I'm busy. I'm in thought. I've got too much on my plate. And yet it's a time when they're demanding emotional attention as well, but when they get it, they don't want it. So just be aware, people might seem to be a little bit preoccupied. They might seem to be a little bit cranky, a little bit distant, more so than usual. This is the time when people who have any sort of emotional illnesses, it can be a difficult period for them, more so because it's sort of exaggerating or exacerbating their symptoms or the things that sort of are part of their day-to-day life, and whether or not that they get very sensitive or whatever the case may be. So we need to be extra specially careful with these sort of people in a way that we're more compassionate, we're more loving, we're more understanding. We're not expecting anything more of them than we expect of ourselves. But most importantly, that we be aware of that they may be struggling more during this time than the rest of us. So it is a difficult emotional moon. But on the upswing of this, it's a time when we can really get to the bottom of a lot of issues that maybe we haven't had the guts, I suppose, to sort of delve into before. You know, we might have a really big emotional crisis or something that it's been in the too hard basket because it's been too difficult or too painful on an emotional level to deal with. And that could be a relationship. It could be the loss of somebody. It could be a million and one things. But it's the time now where to bring it to the forefront and own those emotions, whether they're positive or negative. Let's try and get a handle on them. Let's try and get a grip on it so that we can sort of work through this very intense emotion and say, okay, now I understand it. Now I can sort of work out a plan of action. Now I can come to terms with how I'm able to look at this and proceed forward in my life. So even though it's a very difficult and intense full moon, it's a time when we can have some absolutely major breakthroughs. So I'm going to show you how we work with the candles in this instance, because working with candles, whether you've got my candles or whether you work with candles of your own, this is a very important time to be working with a candle energy. So here's the full moon candle. I would be starting to burn my full moon candle from the 17th. So May 17 is when I'm going to start the process, and I'm going to burn it for 15 minutes to 2 hours a day. Now, I'm going to write on my list 3 things minimum that I want to let go of, or things that I'm trying to release or process or work through. I may also have 3 things on my list that have just come to light, that may be things that I'm sort of aware of that now I need to start working on. And a thing that's come to light with me in the last 30 days is that I don't handle stress as well as what I used to. Now, that can be just a sign of age, or maybe it's just I don't like it, period, full stop. And my life has been stress-free for such a long time that now that I've had a couple of little hiccups in my life, that I'm really noticing I don't cope well with stress. So that's going to be something I'm going to put on my list to sort of in future to look at. How can I find ways to deal with the day-to-day stresses that have really made a major focus in my life in the last couple of weeks? Why am I looking at it differently? Or is it just that I'm more sensitive to it? So sometimes we've got to keep reevaluating the things that sort of cause us issues in our life. So that's the full moon candle. And because we're working with the Scorpio energy, we will be working with the Scorpio candle as well. So as I've mentioned many, many times before, I like one side one day, the other side the next day. That just gives a longer burn time, so you can get a much longer burn time out of your candle. So write an identical list for that one as well, so that we're burning our candles from 15 minutes to 2 hours a day. Really, really important. Sit there, work with the energy, have your eyes focused on the flames of the candle. That's why you can tie it in as being your meditation for the day, your relaxation, whatever label you want to put on it. For those of you that haven't got the space or want something, a more compact candle than our extra large ones, we do have a gift box where you can make this up of the 3 candles of your choice. This week I've made it up with 2 water sign and a full moon. You can choose any one of the 28 in our range. This just makes it, if you've only got a small space that you want to work with, you can still work with your candles with a 15 minutes a day. These are just sort of compact and take up a lot less room, which is wonderful. And those of you that don't want to work with a candle but still want to work with the magic of the energy, can I suggest a melt warmer? Pick them up from your department store, very inexpensive. Starting off with 2 teaspoons of wax. So I would start off with 1 teaspoon of full moon and 1 teaspoon of the water. And then each day I would add another half a teaspoon. And we're still working in that same process of the 7-day cycle. So when I talk about a 7-day cycle with the moon, I'm talking about 2 days prior to the full moon. So I would commence on May 17 or the 17th of May. So that would be my 2 days leading up to the full moon, on the full moon being on the 19th. So then we would have 3 days of the full moon, 19, 20, 21. Then I would allow 2 days on the decline after the full moon for the energy to taper off. So that would be 22 and 23. I always like to work in a 7-day cycle so that we've got a lead in coming up, sitting on top and going down. I think that's really important so that you work with the maximum energy of the full moon and you don't just have this abrupt sort of energy, oh, it's starting today and it's tapering, it's gone tomorrow. The moon doesn't work that way. It has a slow build up and it has a decline as well. So this week I'm happy to talk about the final sign that we've been working our way around actors and actresses around the zodiac. And this week I'm going to talk about another icon, somebody that we all dearly loved. And she hasn't been with us for a few years now. And that's the one and only Elizabeth Taylor. We're talking about a female Pisces. And Elizabeth Taylor to me was the epitome of a Pisces woman with those beautiful, smoky, dreamy sort of eyes, as if she was always off in some magical sort of world behind those eyes that, nothing ever touched Elizabeth, and, she never seemed to have any dramas or traumas in her life, or that's what her eyes told us anyway. I know nothing could be further from the truth. She had a very difficult life in different patches there. She was always searching for love, and I think Elizabeth Taylor made marriage fashionable again. I mean, how many times did she marry Richard Burton and a couple of other people? And she loved the idea of being married, of being connected to somebody, of giving your life to someone else, becoming somebody's other half. And that was very important to her. And I think in some ways that made her feel emotionally secure. But I think she was also sort of always looking at it in very Piscean sort of eyes, that, she knew what she wanted to achieve in the marriage, and she believed that that was possible because she decided it would be. And I think that's where the disillusionment came in many of her marriages, because it wasn't quite the way that she had imagined it was going to be. And then she'd sort of turn around and make changes, and then sort of realise she was still in love with Richard and go back and remarry him again. And I think it was probably one of the greatest love stories that was ever told, was the on-again, off-again Richard and Liz story. But anyway, leaving aside all that, I mean, Elizabeth Taylor, had an illustrious career. I mean, she was an amazing actress. She was somebody that I think brought a magic to the screen that everybody could relate to. And even from her very, very, very early work, and this wasn't her first film, but one of her very early films that we all probably remember was National Velvet, where she rode the horse. And I think it was one of those perennial sort of movies where just about every young girl around the world wanted to be National Velvet and to have a horse and to have that sort of lifestyle, and sort of fell in love with her as sort of somebody we could all look up to, that, she was able to achieve that, so why couldn't we? Elizabeth was a very giving sort of person. She put her name to many different things, but I think the most important charity that she put her name to was HIV information, and trying to educate the public about AIDS and the pros and cons of it, that it wasn't quite this. It is a scary disease. Please don't get me wrong when I say that. But she tried to normalise it in a way that you couldn't catch it by just being in the same room as somebody that had the condition and the illness. That there was a lot of misconceptions out there in the marketplace of how AIDS was contracted, and she, along with Princess Diana, tried to sort of put a lot of those fears to bed. So I think, those two women will be especially remembered for their work in that. So it's been an amazing week. I mean, with the loss of our dear Doris Day, and then, we were featuring Elizabeth Taylor this week. It's been Female Week, which is quite interesting considering it is going to be the full moon in Scorpio. And, these two very powerful, very different, very iconic women have featured very strongly today in the show. So we're going to take our first caller now, and we're going to be talking with Kay in Reno, Nevada. Are you there, Kay?
Yes, I am.
How can I help you tonight, sweetie? Do you have a question I can work with?
A situation with a friend who I've been friends with for like 35 years, has all of a sudden decided that I'm not good enough for her.
Oh, I'm really so sorry to hear that. Oh, I bet it hurts. It more than hurt. Oh, the first thing I'm getting is she well? I just sort of feel that she's not well. Whether that means she's emotionally not well, or there's no physical illness that you know of.
She doesn't. She does have high blood pressure. And,
right. Okay. When I asked the question of why, I just thought she wasn't well.
She might not be, I mean, I can't, she doesn't want to talk to me. The last time I talked to her, she said she doesn't have time to talk to Kay. And that's the way she put it. She didn't have time to talk to Kay. So I kind of figured that, whatever. But, it upsets me.
It's an unusual statement for somebody to make after you've been friends for 35 years, that I don't have time to talk to you, and using your first name. Look, I come back to the only thing that they've shared with me is the fact that she's not well. And I don't know whether she's ready to admit it to herself, and certainly not ready to admit it to you or discuss it with you or anybody else. And because the two of you were so close and had such a long-term friendship, she knows she's not going to be able to keep it from you if she has a conversation with you, because you'll know something's wrong, and you will press her to get the information out of her. I don't think she's ready to talk about it with anybody. I'm not saying it's a terminal illness. I'm just saying I feel she's very unwell. There's something wrong there, something that she's not prepared to talk about. Don't rule out the friendship just yet. What I'm getting here is in the next couple of months, there will be many times where she'll come into your mind and you'll sort of think, oh, it's almost like she's ringing up to say she's coming around for a visit and nothing happens. Don't ignore those feelings, because I'm going to say to you, you're actually tapping into her energy. And yes, she had thought about picking up the phone and saying, let's have a coffee or something like that. And then she pulls out of it again. So, but I feel one of those times she will actually make the connection with you, and there will be, I can see the two of you sitting down and having a chat together face to face, not over the telephone. And she will sort of start to fill you in at what sort of happened, at why she sort of said she didn't have time to talk to you. She just knew that she couldn't hide anything from you, and she couldn't get her own head around it. So how could she discuss it with you or anyone else when she couldn't come to terms with whatever it was? I think it's more than high blood pressure. I feel it's something else, but I feel whatever it is isn't life-threatening as such. It's not going to shorten her life, but it may affect her life, as in a progressive type of illness or something like that, that she had to sort of process it all, like, and understand it more. Like sometimes when we get given a diagnosis about something, it's sort of like somebody slapped us in the face and we're sort of stunned. That's the energy I'm getting from her. Yet I don't feel it was a life-threatening illness as such. It wasn't the big C or anything like that, but she didn't really know whatever this was, that how it was going to affect her. So she had to sort of sit with it and do a research, and I suppose go back and forwards to the medical practitioners and find out a bit more. And as she started to do that, I think she's come to terms with it. I'm seeing the word August. I don't know that it's going to take that long, though, before she's going to come back towards you, but there seems to be something very positive in August. So whether or not in August she gets a different diagnosis or the condition is, stagnant or getting better or something like that, but I don't feel this friendship's over, sweetie. Don't think that for 1 second, Kay. Just, try not to get upset about it. Try every time she comes into your mind, sending a positive energy with nothing else. Don't sort of question it, just positive energy, because she will feel that. She knows that you're a good friend. She just can't share this with you at the moment because she can't even share it with herself. So she will, and everything will be right. So I hope that's helped you, Kay.
Yeah, thank you. That gives me a lot to think about.
Okay, sweetie, lovely to talk to you. We're going to talk to Diane now in Aiken, South Carolina. Are you there, Diane?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
Hi, Diane, how can I help you? Do you have a question for me, sweetie?
I do. I recently left my boyfriend about a month ago, and we've been trying to work things out, and I was just wondering if it was worth ever working out.
Okay. Now, what I get around him is he's quite stubborn, isn't he? I mean, he's a very stubborn man and wants everything his own way a fair bit, and I don't know that you're ready to sort of just allow him to have his own way all the time, and I don't think you should either.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Is he quite an insecure man? Because I get a very insecure energy around him.
Yes, he is.
Look, it's not that I dislike him, because I do like him. I think he's got a lot of lovely points, a lot of lovely qualities. But number one, he's got to learn to get over this stubbornness. And this stubbornness, to me, he digs his heels in, particularly when he doesn't feel confident or feels he can achieve something. He sticks his heels in, and it's like, I just shut everything down, don't want to know it, don't want to talk to anybody, don't want anything. He's got to learn to overcome that. because I feel that he actually prevents himself from achieving some of the things that are possible because he's told himself he can't do it. Look, I know without a shadow of a doubt that he loves you and he wanted to try and make this work, but at the same time, he feels inadequate in as much as he can't give you what he perceives that you need. So I suppose at the end of the day, you're the only one that can answer the question, is it worth sort of giving this another shot, or am I wasting my time? Only you can answer that sort of question. But I feel that, you know everything that I'm talking about. It's not a surprise to you. These are the things that you've sort of listed in your mind as some of the reasons why this relationship came to an abrupt stop was because of these situations. Yeah, so, I mean, you're the only one that can answer how long's the piece of string, how long's your patience, what are you prepared to work with, or say what is absolutely definitely not negotiable. And sometimes when we've got somebody like this that is insecure, it takes an almightily strong person to be able to help them overcome that and help them reach their full potential without doing it for them, if you know what I mean. Like, you can give somebody enough encouragement, but they've got to eventually pick up the bat and ball and run themselves. You can't play the game for them. And this is one of the things, that's where I think you've struggled with this with your boyfriend, is how much do you need to put in and how much is he prepared to do for himself. So, look, I don't know that this is over yet, but I'm not going to say it's definitely going to be the happily ever after either. I think the next 3 months will be very telling on which way you sort of go. You're going to change your mind even probably as close as every hour at what's right or what you're prepared to put up with or what you don't want to put up with. So I think let's not sort of put a definite this is going to work or definitely a no on this. Let's wait and see what unfolds in the next 3 months, and then you'll have an answer one day. You'll wake up one day and you'll just know. And then I think you'll be able to sort of say, well, now I have a clear direction of what I need to do for me.
Yes, ma'am.
So has that helped you understand this a little bit more, Diane?
Yes, ma'am, it has.
Because I just sort of feel as if this is a bit of a past life connection. Like, when the two of you first met, you sort of felt like you'd already known him before.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And I think that's one of the reasons why you've stayed in this situation. If it had been someone else, you would have shut the door on it a long time ago, wouldn't you?
Yes, ma'am, I would have.
So they're the sort of things that sort of indicate to me that, maybe we've got to give this just that little bit more time to sort of see which way, as things unfold, which way you're going to make your final decision on this. Look, I don't dislike him. I have to be very clear on that. I think he has a lot of wonderful qualities, but it's sort of like, it's like he keeps getting a gun and shooting himself in the foot and says, I can't walk. Well, no, you're not going to be able to walk if you keep injuring yourself. Do you know what I mean? If you keep hobbling yourself. So it's like he's the only one that can stop doing that. He's the one that's got to take those steps, even if they are baby steps and at a snail's pace, he's got to be the one to do them. I just don't feel that you're ready to walk away yet, Diane. I just truly don't. I mean, that's obviously why you're asking the question too.
I'm not, but my biggest thing is I have 2 children and he doesn't have any, he doesn't understand them. And that's where it's come into play also.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, that's something that you can't ignore. I mean, your children have got to come first no matter what. And if he doesn't understand what being a parent is and the responsibility that's there, then that's a deal breaker to me. Like, you've got to give him the opportunity to be able to work with that. But if he can't work with that in a way that's acceptable to you and understand that, well, then it's not negotiable. Like the door just gets slammed shut. Do you think it is the fact that he sort of sees the children as, dare I say, a little bit of a threat, like he's a little bit jealous of them and the attention you've got to give them?
Well, I kind of feel that way about my youngest. My oldest, he gets along with great, but my youngest, he doesn't. He's just so quick to lose his temper with him because he doesn't understand that he's only 3.
Yeah, well, you can't lose your temper with a 3-year-old like that. all the time, because 3-year-olds are going to get into mischief and explore the world, and that's how they learn. That's part of them growing up. I mean, has he ever talked about wanting to have a family of his own?
He has.
Look, I just think give it another 3 months and see what transpires then. But, I mean, if he can't get along with your youngest, then to me it's a no contest. It's, you just shut the door and you move on, because you can't ruin your children's life for the sake of trying to, make a relationship right. I mean, your children must come first, always.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. But I just feel that, maybe this little bit of time apart, maybe he'll start to see things differently and sort of, put some effort in and try to sort of understand it. I mean, if he's losing his temper with a 3-year-old, that doesn't make me feel very comfortable. I mean, look, we all know 3-year-olds can, make you tear your hair out, because, they're not always the most well-behaved little critters in the world, but, that's part of their learning, and we have to make those allowances for that. And if he can't do that and he gets cranky, that's not an answer. That's not teaching a child how to, get up and try again, is it? We've all got to fall down and get up and try again. If he loses his temper all the time, that's not a good role model, not at all.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my darling, I'm sure that you will work out the right answer, but remember, put your children first. That's the most important thing. That was Diane from South Carolina. It's interesting when we have relationships like that we really have to look at and explore all the avenues and ask ourselves what is right for the overall picture. We do have to consider our children as well as our own emotional needs, but being a parent means that our children must come first no matter what. And I know it's difficult when relationships don't work out and we try and repartner with other people, whether they have children or not. It's a little bit of like a jigsaw puzzle, putting the pieces together and making it work. But it is something that many people around the world have to sort of deal with on a day-to-day basis. So I hope you've enjoyed the show. We'll do it all again in 7 days' time. For those of you that want to know a little bit more about the full moon in Scorpio, join me over at Facebook just directly after this show on the Amanda Hall page, and I'll be doing a mini workshop there that's free. You're more than welcome to join us. Until next week, keep a smile on your face, and don't forget to sort of bring some sort of elegance to life. And when something doesn't make you smile, or you feel that you don't have an answer to something, maybe think of Doris Day's song and say, "Que sera, sera, sera." Whatever will be, and the future is not ours to see. Until next week, bye for now.